What's up, B2? Capital G here. So this was posted on Reddit. Lithium talked about it yesterday. It is a rumored OCG ban list for their October 1st, 2018 format. You guys know basically every 3 months the OCG gets a new ban list. Their ban list should be out in the next V-Jump, which should be a pretty big V-Jump because that's going to have a bunch of information on Savage Strike as well. Who knows if this is actually the truth? Some of these OCG rumored ban lists have just completely turned out to be fake. You guys remember the one with the dragon rulers that I talked about? Yeah, that was definitely fake-erino, but this has some stuff on here that I think is definitely warranting a discussion because some of it I feel like is believable. Others, I think that there is no way it's going to happen. There are also some erratas on here, rumored erratas. I definitely have to keep making sure I emphasize that. Who knows what is going to come to fruition, but I feel like this is definitely a talking point that is noteworthy. And yes, the OCG and the TCG are just seemingly growing wider and wider, the gap between our formats and really our card pools, because oh my goodness, man, when you really look at the OCG and the TCG ban list, there are so many cards that are at different numbers. I'm talking about 1, 3, 0, 3, 2, 0, etc., etc. But let's go ahead and start on the forbidden. So MX Saber Invoker and Mega Cannon Soldier. I believe in the TCG it's like Cannon Soldier. Actually, no, maybe this is the TCG name. Maybe I was looking up the other name for the OCG. But I believe that MX Saber Invoker. I think that there is a very strong chance that this card is going to get banned, not just in the OCG, but in the TCG. If there were 2 cards that you told me 100% are getting banned on the next TCG list, this would be one of my guesses. My other one would be Nightmare Goblin. Yes, but I believe that MX Saber Invoker, it actually is starting to remind me of like Lavalval Chain, right? And essentially when a card is pretty powerful, but it keeps showing up in different archetypes, and those archetypes just happen to be like the best deck of the game, Konami generally doesn't like that. We saw this with Lavalval Chain. It was played in Had, and that interaction wasn't that bad, but the one in Infernity, that one was pretty bad. With the Infernity during Zexal, the Infernity build that ended up winning Worlds, like the Infernity Exceed spam, we saw Lavalval Chain being used in a Firewall FTK, and then Konami was like, all right, enough of this card, enough of Lavalval Chain, let's hit it. You really can look at MX Saber Invoker and it's the same thing. It's being used in Goki right now, best deck in the world, and it didn't win Worlds, but it definitely won a lot of the biggest tournaments. It was used in Zodiac format. You guys remember that when Rapier was at 3, and yeah, people wanted the card banned then. Konami did try to address it by hitting Terratops, but there's nothing else that they can hit. Like, you can't hit Terratops again. Terratop is at 1 and people are still effing playing it. So I feel like it's a very legitimate possibility. Also, there's a 6 Samurai deck that got first place at a regionals over here in the United States in Omaha, Nebraska. He would obviously use MX Saber Invoker. It was basically all a ploy to get to number 86 and basically make it so your opponent couldn't special summon. If you were able to keep your summon sorceress on the field, you just would kill your opponent next turn. The Cherubini lock thing that I showed you guys in that duel, it's the same exact thing. It's just with 6 Samurai. The Cannon Soldier card, this is kind of believable. The only thing I question is, if you're going to hit Cannon Soldier and you're just going to systematically take out all of these burn cards, why would you not hit Amazoness Archer? Like, isn't it literally the same card? Like, Mega Cannon Soldier does 300 more damage, but it requires 2 tributes. Amazon Archer would just be the fill-in, and it's a level 4. Like, I get it, you can special summon all these cards from Firewall Dragon, so levels aren't that important, but I just feel like, why would they ignore Archer? And I understand there's history there because Konami has hit Cannon Soldier and Toon Cannon Soldier, but this one just feels strange. Now, if Amazoness Archer was on that ban list, then it would be more believable, unless Konami just forgot about Amazoness Archer. But believe me, the players would remind them really quickly. Limited status, we have Sky Striker Ace Kagari, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, Gold Sarko, Ancient Fairy Dragon, and Level Eater, both unbanned, but they have erratas. Let's talk about those 2 first. Man, Level Eater, I have a very great relationship with this card. I remember I called for the banning of this card. People didn't like that too much. Then they realized, oh shit, Cap, you were right. This card is broken, especially with the link mechanic. I think that Level Eater was already broken just because of synchro summoning. I saw it be summoned 14 times in a turn. At that point, I was like, nope, you shouldn't be able to summon any card in Yu-Gi-Oh! That many times. Let's go ahead and ban this card. Essentially, Level Eater has been errated to not only a hard once per turn, but when you special summon it back from the graveyard, you can't use it as link material. To me, it actually seems like an errata so awful that Konami would probably do that. I look at Sinister Serpent and I think about how they ruined that card. Same thing with Disc Commander, but I think that that's complete overkill. If you're going to make it a hard once per turn, then fine. That's all I ever wanted, was just make the fucking thing a hard once per turn, but don't make it so you can't use it for link summoning. Like, that's just dumb. I mean, I feel like that's so overkill. It's just asinine. With Ancient Fairy Dragon, they basically just split the effects where you can either use the first effect to blow up the field spells and gain some life points, or you can use the second effect to special summon a monster, but you don't get a battle phase. That would actually be really good, in my opinion. Like, I feel like that's almost too good. Like, Konami won't do that because usually erratas are completely butchers, or they're completely butchers when they do erratas and they fuck up the card so much. It's like too good to be, like, it's unbelievable that Konami would like actually make a good errata, to be honest, but that would still be really good in like, FA and ABC, any deck that runs like Destrudo. I think that would still be legitimate, and I still feel like Ancient Fairy Dragon got a raw deal because I feel like it's a victim of power creep from field spells. Like, field spells got so much better from the Zexal era to the Arc V era into the Vrains era that it's not Ancient Fairy Dragon's fault that it just happens to be a card that like really has good synergy with field spells. Like, you shouldn't have made field spells so fucking powerful between those two eras, Konami. Now, for the rest of the limits, Mobilize, Engage, and Sky Striker Ace Kagari, I do have a little bit, well, everyone has a beef with Engage. Should have been a hard once per turn. I think everyone has acknowledged that a billion times. And you look at Kagari, I think the biggest thing there is really just when you activate Hornet Drones and you summon Kagari and then you get Hornet Drones right back. That's kind of, this is a little bit nutty, but I kind of feel like Konami already did what they wanted to do with this deck, which was basically take the Sky Strikers out of all the other archetypes. No more, no more Sky Striker Trickstar, no more Sky Striker Spiral. And they did that when they put Hornet Drones to 1 in the OCG. I feel like one of these could happen, maybe Engage, but I don't think they're going to do both unless they're going to finish out the archetype, the attribute wheel for Sky Strikers. They're going to give them water and, well, no, they already got water. Oh my god, I'm trolling. They're going to give them light and dark, and those cards are going to kind of make up for it. But I feel like Sky Strikers are in a pretty good spot. Like, just put Hornet Drones to 1, and I think you're fine. Gold Sarcophagus, this one is real. I think that this could be legitimate, specifically because of Thunder Dragons. Some people might still believe Thunder Dragons are a crap deck. Cap is just hype. Thunder Dragons are topping in the OCG, and if you don't know, Gold Sarcophagus activates every single one of the new Thunder Dragons effects. Basically, you banish them, you activate their Go Plus effect immediately, whether that's like, searching or something like that. Like, you can activate all of their effects, and then in a couple of turns, you get the Thunder Dragon to your hand. So you basically are like getting payment immediately when you activate Gold Sarcophagus. I can actually see that happening when Gold Sarco first came out during GX. It actually was that, maybe that was 5. No, I think it was GX. During GX, it was actually limited to 1. So I could kind of see that now that there's a new archetype that basically exploits it. Semi-limited, we got Altergeist Multi-Faker, Altergeist Miluseek, Cyframe Lord Omega, Zodiac Rapier, Necroface, Tour Guide from the Underworld, Necros Cycle, True King's Return. Alright, the Altergeist hits, I wouldn't even be that salty about this. I don't think that it would really matter at all. I said a long time ago on my stream that I believe that there was a slight possibility that Multi-Faker could eventually get hit. I don't think anything else in Altergeist could ever really be on the hot seat unless Altergeist did some, some Glad format level shit, like win 6 Shonen Jumps, or YCSs in a row. I mean, Multi-Faker is a pretty busted card. The problem with Multi-Faker is, even with 1 copy, which it's not even at here, that really doesn't do much. Like, there are so many ways of summoning Multi-Faker back from the graveyard. Manifestation, Mary, you can search it from Miluseek, you can search it from Hextia, you can search it from Personal Spoofing. Like, there's so many ways of juggling 1 copy of the card. You can bounce it to your hand to summon it again from Quidius. So I feel like these hits really wouldn't do anything to Altergeist at all. I think that they're kind of believable. I mean, I'm not really sure. They wouldn't really accomplish much. Omega and Zodiac Rapier is like, who really cares? Omega decks are kind of, I don't want to say they're completely dead, but most Omega decks are like zombie decks now. When I think of like all the Omega spam decks from Master Rule 4, no one really plays those anymore. Tour Guide from the Underworld and Necroface I want to talk about together because I do not believe either one of these, especially Necroface. I honestly think there are certain cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History that Konami themselves, really Archetypes 2, just don't like. They don't even like that they created these things. Infernity is probably the biggest example ever. It's why, fucking Archfiend's like never gonna go back to 3, and there are so many like Infernity cards on the ban list. I feel like Necroface is just one of those cards that it is so easy to exploit. It's so easy to go Allure Darkness, Necroface, and then banish a whole bunch of other like shenanigans. I think was Necroface at 1 in the TCG, or is it at 2? I feel like it might be at 2 in the OCG. It's just one, or in the TCG. I feel like it's one of those cards that just, it always just does degenerate shit, and I don't think Konami ever wants to put, they're not going to move Necroface higher. Like the days of like Necroface at 3 are pretty much dead, and I don't think the card's going to move up. I feel like it could even go, maybe probably not the ban, because I feel like Konami's just ignoring it, like they're doing with Magical Explosion in the TCG. But it's definitely a card that probably is not going to move up. Tour Guide from the Underworld, because of the link mechanic, I feel like it's not going up either. With the fact is, Tour Guide gets Sangan, it gets Burning Abyss monsters, those floats, you go instantly into a link monster, and then you just like get another monster. I feel like at 1, it's probably fine. If the link mechanic had never been created, I think Tour Guide probably would have been on its way going up the ban list. But because of the link mechanic, nah, it just gives that mechanic gave Tour Guide more utility, and generally cards that get more utility, that get better, don't move up on the ban list. True King's Return, whatever. True Dracos are basically dead in the OCG because they don't have Masterpiece, they don't have Diagram. I think that Heritage went up on like one of their last ban lists. And then for the Unlimits, Construct, Winda, Alistair the Invoker, Disc Commander, Ash Blossom, Fossil Dig, and Teleport. So this is kind of crazy and it's believable. I said a long time ago Shadows have been power creep. The only Shadow that's like 100% not power creep is fucking Construct. She's still a bad bitch, but like Winda, these cards aren't really that powerful anymore. Like you could play a full Shadow deck with all of them at 3, you'd still get fucking rolled. Maybe if you had Super Poly at 3, maybe, but outside of that, you're still gonna get rolled by a lot of the newer decks. And I could totally see these cards going to 3. Same thing with Alistair the Invoker, specifically because they have invoked Merkaba at 1. So it doesn't matter, like 2 Alistairs, 3, like it makes really no difference between 2 and 3 if Merkaba is still at 1. You still have to use a lot of the other invoke monsters that you probably don't want to. This commander got fucking ruined by the errata. The card is garbage, basically toilet paper. Ash Blossom is very possible at 2 because we already saw how Konami handled Max C. Hold on, I gotta check my time right quick, see if I... okay, 11 minutes, we're good. Max C was semi-limited. First it was at 3, then Konami put it to 2 in the OCG, then they put it immediately back to 3. I feel like they're done messing around with Max C. And I think that Ash Blossom is just kind of like the next logical choice. Like, is Ash Blossom good enough to be semi-limited? Yeah, probably. Fossil Dig and E-Telly, I feel like dinosaurs have just been getting a raw deal for a while. They don't have the competitive results to like warrant the hits that they have. Like, why the fuck is Miscellaneous Ceratosaurus at 1 in the TCG? It honestly makes no sense. Like, that card should be at 3. Everything in Dino should be at 3. You already hit the most broken card in Dinosaurs, which wasn't even a dinosaur. That card was Denlong. So, if you took out Denlong and you took out the Earth True King, whose name I can never pronounce, like you already took the most broken cards out. I feel like there's nothing else in Dinosaurs that needs to be hit because they don't have the results that back up them being like one of the best decks in the game. Teleport, fine, whatever. The days of Cosmos and stuff like that are pretty much done. But what do you guys think of this rumor list? Like, I find some of these things to be believable. Like Invoker, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Gold Sarcophagus, you know, one of the Sky Striker cards, the Altergeist cards are believable. But then there are other things like, is Konami really gonna start moving Necroface up? I don't think so. Tour Guide up? Like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Other things like, would they really butcher Level Eater that much? Actually, I kind of do believe that they would, but I feel like they wouldn't, or it wouldn't be right to do that. But whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. Also, I totally forgot. Let me know how believable you guys think that this rumor list actually is. Like, give me a percentage in the comment section.